Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to another Wild Rift video. A new patch came out and we actually got some pretty massive changes to some champions. So I'm gonna be giving you guys a tier list for every single role right now. There are timestamps in the description if you just want to see the tier list. So apologies. Let's start with the Baron lane. Baron lane, honestly, not that much has changed in Baron lane. Really not that much. However, one champion got nerfed not that hard, but good enough for her not to be utterly broken anymore. Remember the Camille buff that she got? She became absolutely broken in the Baron lane and in the jungle, but now they reduced the healing on her second ability. So it's just by 10%. However, you will still feel it. Like, it makes her weaker because you have less sustain. Like, you can trade a little bit less effectively than before, but she's still S plus tier. Like, still in the top 3 of the S plus tier, but she's not the best champion anymore. Talking about the best champions, Gwen is. I mean, Gwen is just. What can I say about Gwen? I mean, Gwen is a 1v9 champion. This is like one of the only champions that can actually 1v9. Right? Like, we use the term 1v9 when we're carrying the game, right? Like when we're having fun and carrying. But this champion can actually 1v9. Like, she has genuine 1 versus 5 potential. If your whole team is trash, you can still win if you're playing Gwen. That's the power of this champion, and that's what makes her incredibly powerful. And if you pair her with a good team as well, you know, with a good enchanter, with an engager, it's absolutely over. She's gonna ruin the enemies in the late game. Another champion that's very good, but for different reasons, is Aatrox. Aatrox is also a 1v9 champion. However, he does fall off. He falls off as opposed to Gwen. Like, early game, he's okay. In lane, he's actually pretty good. He's okay. Mid game, he's an absolute monster. Late game, it changes. In 1v1s, he's still pretty good. But in a team fight, he's like, he can struggle a lot. It's really hard to play Aatrox properly in a team fight. If you do it, of course, he's still insane. But like, Gwen is far better. Like, I should actually give her a star because she's so much. That the gap between Gwen and the rest is insane. Like, just so you guys know. But keep in mind, Aatrox is really good too. And he also has 1v9 potential, just not as much as Gwen. And then we have Camille, as I talked about. You know, Camille is incredibly powerful right now with that change. She only got a minor nerf, but she's still absolutely incredibly powerful. She's so easy to play now. You know, her second ability, you can hit it so easily because you don't even have to hit the enemies on the outer edge anymore to heal up. It's crazy. And she's just super easy to play. And her hookshot is incredible as well. You'll always get the attack speed buff. She's just incredibly powerful from the Baron lane. Gragas is the champion that, you know, I don't understand how AP Gragas is balanced. I honestly don't understand it. Like, how is his win rate not through the roof? Because, of course, Riot nerfs champions if their win rate is really high. But how is AP Gragas' win rate not very high? Whenever I pick AP Gragas, I basically just win the game. Like, I win like 70% of the games when I play AP Gragas. Of course, I don't play him every game because that's boring, but AP Gragas is basically like Sona for me. Like, it doesn't seem like enough people understand how broken he is. But yeah, well, you know what? I would say a lot of people play Gragas, but he's so broken that I would expect him to be pick or ban. Full AP Gragas in the Baron lane. Jax, now this champion is interesting, guys. I've actually put him quite high up on the list. You know what? If this video reaches 1,000 likes, I'll upload a Jax video like tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So if you guys want to see me play Jax, particularly full split push Jax, full split, so like, you know, hole breaker, full split push, full like split push Jax, like this video, and yeah, I'll show you guys how broken this champion truly is in the Baron lane. So next up is Sett. Sett is okay, like he does well into a lot of champions. He's very tanky, and also keep in mind, by the way, they buffed they buffed Frozen Heart. Sorry, they buffed Frozen Heart. So any champion that can utilize a Frozen Heart. Now that I'm looking at the tier list, actually, Nasus is definitely here. I'll talk about it later. But yeah, Sett is okay. Wukong is fine. You know, he can very easily trade in the lane. Is just okay to play. Fiora is like Jax, but she's not quite as strong as Jax at split pushing. The thing about Fiora is, she can 1v1 Jax. She can win a 1v1 against Jax, but that's the only thing she's better at than Jax. Jax pushes turrets faster, pushes waves faster, takes jungle. Well, actually, he doesn't take jungle faster, but Jax is way better in team fights. The only thing Fiora is better at than Jax is 1v1s, but that doesn't make her a better champion than Jax in this current meta. Next up is Garen. Garen can do it all, to be honest. He can split push very fast. He's really good at team fighting. He's very fast. He's insanely tanky. He has true damage. So even if you're like super behind in the game, you can still be very useful by going in, using your second ability and tanking. And then using your ultimate to finish off an enemy that is low HP, even if you have like no gold at all, no experience at all, because it executes the enemy. It's crazy. Next up is Riven. Riven is great. I would say Riven is like similar to Aatrox, but maybe a little stronger in the late game. But everything else, she's weaker than Aatrox. But her late game, well, she's like, you know what's funny? She's not even that strong in the late game, but she is, I would say, stronger than Aatrox in the late game. But Riven is very, very strong in the early and mid game because of her abilities, right? Like, again, same story as Aatrox for Riven. Renekton is great too, guys. Renekton is so powerful right now. And you can dominate the lane, especially if you play him properly. I made a video about Renekton. Lonely Kid was actually playing Renekton. If you haven't seen it already, make sure you look up the video and you'll see it. He's really powerful if played correctly. Sion is great. You know, he got nerfed a while ago, which was pretty painful, but then they buffed him back up. It was just a small buff, but he's okay. Like, split pushing Sion is okay. His ultimate allows him to go like cross map to his team. He's just okay. Let me say it like that. He's not amazing, he's just okay. You know, Akali is okay. Olaf is surprisingly good in Baron lane. Like, surprisingly, because they changed him. They buffed him for the Baron lane, but they nerfed him for the jungle. They buffed his first ability where it shreds armor 25% for like 5 seconds or something. So you can use that constantly in your lane to shred the enemy's armor and demolish them. So not only does he have true damage now, he also has armor shred. So like, he's a complete tank counter. Yone is okay in the Baron lane. Not amazing because Yone got nerfed recently, but he's okay. Like, his shield got nerfed. Darius is great. Irelia is great. Anything interesting that I want to talk about? Nasus. I want to talk about Nasus, guys, because if you're against like a heavy AD comp, Nasus in the Baron lane is absolutely broken. You know, actually, I'm gonna make a video about it. I feel like I should make a video because Frozen Heart on Nasus. Oh my god, is it a disgusting item on Nasus? Frozen Heart. So you go for Iceborne Gauntlet, Frozen Heart, and all that kind of stuff, and the enemies just won't kill you. They literally won't kill you. It's ridiculous how strong it is because you're reducing all of their attack speeds by a cap of 36%. 36! You guys know how much 36% is? And it gives you like 80 armor as well. It's just ridiculous, ridiculously powerful, but only really works in a specific scenario where the enemies doesn't have a lot of true damage and where they don't have heavy AP sustain damage. You can deal with Evelynn, you can deal with Katarina, but for example, Orianna is annoying because she has a lot of sustain damage. So keep that in mind. That's when you can pick Nasus and go for this build. I'll make a video about it, don't worry. And any other interesting champions? Graves is okay. Kill is surprisingly strong. Let me just say it like that. He's just not useless. Let me say it like that. He's not useless. He's just okay. Another champion that I kind of want to talk about is this one right here, Kayn. You can actually play blue Kayn in the Baron, and if you're against a lot of ranged champions, you have to be against a ranged Baron laner, I would say though, because blue Kayn with Hullbreaker is absolutely disgusting. The split pushing in the late game is ridiculous that he provides, but his early game sucks. Keep that in mind, and it's really hard to get your stacks up because you're not playing jungle, you're playing Baron lane. So if you get him to the late game, get that Hullbreaker and split push, enemies literally can't catch you because your third ability is on such a low cooldown. Enemies will just never ever catch you. It's crazy. Jarvan in the Baron lane is also okay. They buffed his second ability. It's just better. You can use it more often, so you can trade a little bit better in the Baron lane with him right now. Now let's talk about the jungle. Something that hasn't changed is Diana. Diana is like... what can I say? Absolutely broken in the jungle. They didn't nerf her or anything. She's just beyond broken. Evelynn, absolutely broken. These two champions are just crazy broken still. And honestly, I recommend you to ban them. Like, maybe with Diana you can deal, but if Evelynn gets fed, the game is over. The game is just absolutely over. It's crazy, these two champions. Like, both of them, oh, it's just unfair. They're just unfair. Wukong is great in the jungle, you know, his ganking is great, his sustaining is good, his jungle clear is pretty fast, just all in all good. Gragas, yet again, talking about AP, Gragas in the jungle is really good. He has a very fast jungle clear, and he has a really good ganking and really good late game. And another thing that a full AP Gragas is also really good at is securing jungle. I believe he does the single most burst damage in the entire game, in the late game. Like, in the late game, if you have full items, you can actually kill the Baron or the Dragon from like 3500 HP to 0, maybe even 4000 HP. If you don't believe me, actually try it in practice mode. Use all of your abilities at the same time. First ability, second ability, and third ability, all of those abilities at the exact same time, combined with an Infinity Orb, does over 3000 damage in a late game, easily. Next up is Shyvana. Shyvana is good. She got buffed recently. I'm not sure what they buffed about her. I forgot, but something they buffed something about her, I believe, recently. She's just good. She's just good. Let me say it like that. Whether they buffed her or not, she's just really, really good in the patch right now. Kayn, Blue Kayn is okay. I mean, he's honestly better than okay. I would put Blue Kayn on like top of S tier, but the one that I'm truly talking about is Red Kayn, guys. Red Kayn is sitting in the S plus tier. Red Kayn is so unbelievably strong. The healing that he gets, the bonus damage against tanky targets is just crazy. The value he provides when he engages in a team fight, right? Like he goes in with his first ability, knocks up the enemies, uses his ultimate, and then another first ability, just so much damage and healing. It's absolutely crazy. Next up is Riven Jungle. She has a fast jungle clear. Her ganking is okay, but like the mid-game power that Riven Jungle has is crazy. Like you can invade like crazy with Riven, as long as you just don't fall behind too much. Like her ultimate allows her to do crazy invades super, super easily, win 1v2s. You know, that's just the power of Riven. And also during the first dragon, Riven is going to be very, very powerful. Kha'Zix fell off. They nerfed Kha'Zix quite a bit, but he's still okay. Okay to the point where he's still S+ tier. Aatrox jungle is also good. You know, his ganking is not amazing, but Aatrox jungle can play a bit safer than in the Baron lane. And he's just very, very strong during the first and second dragon fight as well. So like you can utilize that to get a lot of objectives with this champion. Morgana jungle, they actually changed Morgana. Her black shield is not as useful in the jungle anymore, but she goes from mid S+ tier to bottom S+ tier. Still worth the pickup. Really, really strong if you need that backline sustain damage that Morgana can provide. Lee Sin is not where he always used to be. He has pretty much always been in the S+ tier, but he kind of fell off. Man, there's something. I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like my voice sounds different. What was I saying? Lee Sin is just okay. Like his early game aggression is still very, very good, but I feel like there's a lot of champions that can actually deal with him in the later stages of the game. Like Zoe came out, she can deal with him. Zeri is gonna be pretty good into him. You know, there's a lot of champions that are just gonna be able to deal with what was I saying? Deal with Lee Sin. So I feel like he got nerfed indirectly. Olaf jungle, not S+ tier anymore, but still S tier, right? Like he has the armor penetration, but they did nerf some of his other stats, but he's okay. Like in the jungle, he's still okay. The true damage is really, really nice. The bonus movement speed from his ultimate. Olaf is Olaf. Like I can just say that Olaf is Olaf. Olaf is always gonna be okay. Camille jungle, they actually nerfed Camille jungle quite a bit. She used to be top S+ tier, below Diana and Evelyn, of course, but she still used to be very, very high up. But now she does less damage with her second ability to jungle counts. So definitely still playable, don't get me wrong, but it's not as good as before. Like her jungle clear is gonna be a couple seconds slower, which of course, you know, does hurt her, but you can still play it, keep that in mind. Xin Zhao is the champion that not a lot of people tend to play, but he's stronger than you think. He's really good at 1v1s, insanely strong early game. Like this is the type of champion that can win a 1v1 against Lee Sin or Pantheon, like any of those two, in the early game. He actually beats them in a 1v1. That's the crazy part about Xin Zhao, because he heals up and he has so much damage. Late game, he struggles a little bit. But even in the late game, he's good at 1v1s and he's good in teamfights because of his ultimate. Like his ultimate can keep away attacks, which can make him quite tanky. Rammus is good too. One of the best gankers in the game and one of the best frontlines if the enemies, same story as Nasus, if the enemies don't have true damage and if they don't have like heavy sustaining AP damage like a Morgana or an Orianna, right? Like these types of champions. Echo is fine. His jungle got nerfed a bit recently, but he's fine in the jungle. You can just play him. Mundo, I feel like Mundo got buffed indirectly in this patch because they buffed Spirit Visage. Spirit Visage, instead of giving 10 ability haste, now gives you 20 ability haste. So you can play Mundo right now, build the Spirit Visage and get a lot more value out of that item, which is, and it's a score item, of course, Spirit Visage. So Mundo indirectly got buffed this patch. Nunu is fine. Darius jungle, you know, they buffed it recently where you can play it. His bleed does a lot of damage to jungle camps, so you can just play it in the jungle right now. He's okay. A champion that I want to talk about as well is Nautilus jungle. Definitely playable, but he needs to skill. Like, somehow Nautilus jungle feels very, very weak in the earlier stages of the game, so I'm not sure why, because in the Baron lane he feels very strong at level 1, But when I play him in the jungle, he feels really weak until like level 9 when I get 2 items. I don't know why. Every time I've played him in the jungle, he feels weak. But after that, you're going to be very, very tanky. He's a very, very nice jungler in the late game. But you have to know how to play him. A jungler that I want to talk about is Zed. They actually ruined Zed jungle. His third ability does a lot less damage to jungle camps now. You can still play him, but his jungle clear is going to be significantly slower. Warwick jungle, I really don't recommend you to play it too much. He's so weak. This is 100% a low elo champion. He's really, really weak in higher elos. Yeah, Jax, don't play him in the jungle, of course. He doesn't get attack speed. You know what's funny, actually? I've put Gwen here, but Gwen is actually more like A tier because of how broken the champion is. She's not supposed to work in the jungle because your third ability doesn't actually reset when you attack a jungle camp. So you'll lose a lot of damage when attacking jungle. But the champion is so broken that you can still play her in the jungle. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Now, here we get to the most ridiculous lane, okay? Because, I mean, I'm sure this doesn't even need an introduction. Zoe is so unbelievably broken that it's like, it's not even, you can't even compare it to any other champion. Like, she's not S plus tier. She's probably not even S plus tier. She's like S plus tier. 3 pluses. This is where Zoe is at right now. The champion is so obnoxiously broken. In the late game, she will just one-shot you. She doesn't even have to put you asleep. She will literally just one-shot you. Like, doesn't even think about you. If she properly hits her first ability, she just one-shots you. It's really hard to catch Zoe because she gets all those enchantments and all that kind of stuff that she picks on the ground. But she will literally just one-shot you. And if she puts you asleep, you can say bye-bye because then she's gonna kill you. And like, she's gonna kill you easily. So easily. Like, all you can do to Zoe is try to shut her down early game. But if she reaches the late game, it's like a worse Annie. Essentially, she can one-shot you every 3 seconds. Annie can one-shot you every 25 seconds. But Zoe can do the same thing every 3 seconds. So that's the difference between the champions. That's the difference between how strong each champion is. But she needs to get nerfed. Like, it's ridiculous how much damage her first ability does. Absolutely crazy. Vex is really, really nice in the mid lane. I wouldn't say broken, but just nice. She's just very, very nice. Always a reliable pick. She's very strong early game, very strong mid game, surprisingly strong late game. She's not supposed to be that strong in the late game, but in Wild Rift, she's surprisingly strong in the late game. So you can just always pick her and provide a lot of value. Yone in the mid lane is also great. Sure, he got nerfed. Sure, the shield got nerfed, but he's still very, very good in the mid lane. Yone, because of his ultimate and just the way that he works, very, very strong in the mid lane. Diana, not as strong as in the jungle, but because of how strong the champion is, she's also good in the mid lane. She's just okay. Like, her early game, you can struggle a little bit because you can get out damaged in lane. You can't really all in the enemies because you don't have that much damage. But once you reach 3 items and more, that's when you can start to be extremely aggressive and one-shot the enemies. That's where she becomes powerful. But early game, you have to be a bit careful in the mid lane. Next up is Akali. Akali is the perfect champion for mid lane because she's such a good assassin against those squishy mid laners. You can play the lane pretty safely because of her second ability. And you'll just be fine. Like, later on, you'll destroy the enemy. Her ganking is also really, really nice. She just has it all for an assassin in the mid lane. Annie, I keep saying it, guys. Annie is so broken, but not many people know about it. Pick her up. Trust me, pick her up. Watch my Annie videos. Learn how to play this champion and destroy the enemies. Destroy. You just have to know simple mechanics for this champion. She's so easy to play. So easy. Even her macro knowledge is really easy. All you have to do, just watch my videos on her. I explain exactly how I play her. And I got Challenger a few times with Annie as well. She has been in my pool when I push for Challenger. Because it's such easy wins, this champion. So just watch those videos and I explain it fully in those videos. Because yeah, I can say it all right now, but it's a tier list video. You know, I'm not going to say it all here. Kazarin is fine. I played him a couple times. He's not as strong as I thought. They buffed him. I thought that he would be like top S plus tier, but he really isn't. He's just okay. Definitely S plus tier, like definitely stronger than average, but not stronger than, you know, Akali, Diana, Yone. Not stronger than them, but he's really close. He's really, really close. Late game, he destroys the enemy, but it's just the early game that he's stronger. That's the only thing. Early game, he's stronger, but late game, he's unstoppable with his ultimate. Irelia's great. She only got changed a little bit, but she's great. She's fine. She's just fine. And she's just fine. She's just fine. What was I talking about? Katarina. Now Katarina is a bit of a hard one because Katarina is really not that strong. And that's the funny thing about Katarina. Like the actual champion, I would probably rate her S tier. But the thing about Katarina is, for some reason, every player that plays Katarina is unbelievably good at the champion. And I actually think that's because when Katarina got released, she was super broken. So a lot of people got really, really good at Katarina because they kept spamming her trying to get better, right? So I feel like from that moment on, the Katarina players, the one-trick Katarinas are so good at the champion that even though the champion itself is probably like an S tier champion, I still put her in S plus tier because like she has such a high skill ceiling that being good at this champion really rewards you, but being bad at the champion also really punishes you. So make sure you're sitting right here and not right here when you play this champion. She requires lots of practice before you play her properly in ranked. Orianna is always a safe pick, always valuable. The damage is crazy. Late game she carries, always valuable basically. She's always a valuable pick. Ahri is great. After the change they did to her ultimate and her passive, she became a really, really strong champion because she's only a little bit weaker early game, but much, much stronger in the late game. You really, really get rewarded if you catch out an enemy champion and kill him because it gives you an extra charge of your ultimate now, which of course allows you to either escape or go even further. So she's very, very good right now. They buffed Yasuo, by the way. They buffed his third ability where instead of being 8-second cooldown per enemy, it now scales with your cooldown. Goes from 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 and 5 seconds. So you can use your third ability more easily there in team fights and especially in lane. Especially in lane when you reach level 9 and you fully upgrade this ability. Corki is okay. Akshan is surprisingly strong. Like really, really. Actually, Akshan is definitely stronger than Corki. Now that and Zed is also stronger than Corki. Not sure what Corki is doing up there. Yeah, Akshan is surprisingly strong with his third ability and stuff. He's just good. He's just good. Zed still very, very good in the mid lane. They didn't nerf Zed at all for the mid lane. Only nerfed Zed jungle. So don't be afraid to pick this champion in the mid lane. Still incredibly powerful. Veigar is really, really strong too. They actually reverted some of his nerfs earlier. No, actually they didn't revert his nerfs. They gave him basic attack damage at level 1 and bonus mana, something like that. So he's significantly stronger at level 1 and you can really feel the power actually. You can really, really feel the more power, the power that he gets at level 1 because his basic attacks hurt a lot more. Like basic attack first ability, basic attack proccing electrocute actually nearly half-lives an enemy in the early game. It does like 30-35% of their HP. It's crazy, really, really crazy for a champion like Veigar to do that much damage in the early game. And of course, late game Veigar speaks for itself, right? Like I don't even need to explain how good late game Veigar is. So they buffed his one weakness, which is early game. Pyke mid lane is great. Galio is a situational one. Just pick Galio if you're up against like a Katarina and an Akali. You know these mage assassins, that's when you pick Galio. Or like Vex or something. Galio is also good into that. Or Zoe maybe even. Galio is good against those types of champions. Gragas, AP Gragas, you can play him. You can literally play him everywhere. It's funny. Brandt is really strong. Actually, Brandt is much stronger than this. Brandt is definitely sitting on top of the ST. Brandt is super underrated. Like, I still haven't made a Brandt video because I actually have like 70 games on Brandt, but I didn't make a video because I didn't master him yet. I know it's a shame because now I don't play a lot of Wild Rift anymore. I still play Wild Rift. I actually played like 3 games today, but it's gonna be hard for me to make a Brandt video myself. I really want to do it though. I really want to pick this champion back up and make the stupid video. I need to master him for it though. But he's really strong. He's very, very strong right now. The funny thing about Brandt is even if you're behind, all you have to do is get a stasis, spam all of your abilities, including your ultimate, and just click on stasis enchant, and it's gonna provide enough value. You're gonna half-life the entire enemy composition because you use stasis, all of your abilities, and your ultimate. So that's all you need to do as a Brandt to provide value. And of course, if you're ahead, it's a different story. If you catch out an enemy with a stun, you proc your passive on them, you'll just one-shot them. And add Ignite to it as well. Ooh, disgusting damage, guys. Twisted Fate is good. Misfortune, I'm talking about AP Misfortune, by the way, not AD Misfortune. And this one actually got buffed because they buffed the base damage of Misfortune's first ability, which is a bigger buff to AP Misfortune and AD Misfortune. Because now, as an AP Misfortune, your first ability is just going to do more damage. The base damage is increased, so early game, you'll do so much more damage with it. You can poke the enemy like crazy. So that's just great. That's great. AP Misfortune is definitely playable and definitely a good champion in the mid lane. Because of the buff they did recently towards third ability as well. Keep that in mind. You can still play AP Misfortune. Very, very good. She's especially good against those long range type of champions. Like, She's really good against Lux, against Brandt, against Orianna, against Ziggs, against Varus, against those champions. You know, Caitlyn. If you're against like long range champions, pick AP Miss Fortune and destroy him. You know, Veigar as well. You want to pick her into long range champions. She's not good against diving champions. Keep that in mind. Like, you don't want to pick her into diving champions. Ziggs mid lane is fine. Karma's okay. Lux actually got nerfed recently. They nerfed her second ability, shielding. But still, you don't really use it that much. They also nerfed her ultimate scaling, but she's still okay. She's still okay to the point where she's like bottom S tier. And then after that, we get the champions that I don't really recommend you to play. I already don't really recommend you to play Lux, by the way, but she's still okay, sitting in the bottom S tier. Yeah, after that, you just got champions that are situational or either just kind of sucky. Next up is the Dragon Lane. And honestly, here, not that much has changed. Ezreal, I'm not going to talk too much about this one because not that much has changed. Ezreal is still Ezreal. Samira is still Samira. She's just really good. I still put Ezreal above Samira, by the way, because I feel like Ezreal, it's easier to solo carry. Because with Samira, you're reliant on your ultimate. Like, with Ezreal, you're just doing damage. You know, even if the enemy has CC, you can still go through it. But with Samira, if the enemy has CC and stuns you out of your ultimate, you'll lose a significant portion of your damage. So that's why Samira is under Ezreal. She's still incredibly powerful, but I would say Ezreal is a bit better. Vayne, Vayne is Vayne, guys. Vayne is Vayne. I mean, Vayne does true damage. You can never catch Vayne. She becomes invisible. Late game, Vayne is Vayne. Vayne is just insanely powerful. Tristana is surprisingly strong as well. If you get to the later stage of the game, the range that she gets is so big. Like, combined with the attack speed from this first ability and her passive range, she's really strong in the game. You just have to survive early game. Don't feed the enemy early game, and Tristana is gonna outskill almost all champions in the late game. Kai'Sa is really great because she has pressure early game. She's good mid game. She's also good late game. She's just a balanced champion. She's always good. She's always good. So it doesn't really matter what your playstyle is. Kai'Sa is always gonna be a good pick. Doesn't really matter what the draft is. Kai'Sa is always gonna be a good pick. Lucian is really strong in the Dragon Lane as well. Just full crit Lucian does a lot of damage. His first ability does a lot of damage. I believe they buffed his first ability as well recently. They buffed something about him recently, like in the recent repatches. I'm not sure what it is. Varus is really good. AP Varus is S tier, and also AD Varus is S tier. Both of them are actually S tier, believe it or not. AP Varus, however, you really only want to pick into tankier champions, or just like melee champions. He's really good into melee champions that are not assassins. Ashe is very nice as well. You can play Ashe with like a million different builds. I've also made a million different videos with a million different builds on Ashe. So, you know, you can watch all of those to play whichever Ashe you want to play. But right now, the sustained damage Ashe is the best. So Blade of the Rune King and all that kind of stuff is the best build for Ashe. Because they actually nerfed Ashe's second ability quite significantly very recently. So you don't want to be relying on that one too much. Jinx is great too. You want to pick Jinx with an enchanter, and she's always just going to be a Jinx. She's always going to be good. She's going to Jinx it for the enemy team. Because even if they're super ahead, if you just farm well as a Jinx, you can 1v9. Well, 2v9, 2v8 the game. Because you do need your enchanter as a Jinx. Generally. That's the thing with Jinx. Senna, I'll talk about Senna during the support one. But Senna, of course, you can only play in the Dragon Lane if your ally picks a tank. You know, Nasus, Gragas, Wukong, stuff like that. Then you can pick Senna in the Dragon Lane and let your ally farm. But I'll talk about Senna during the support list. And you guys don't want to miss that one. You don't want to miss the support list, because I have a lot to say about Senna right now. Xayah is fine. Draven is fine. Caitlyn got nerfed. Caitlyn used to be higher up in my tier list, but she actually got nerfed. She hurts much less early game now. They took away 4 attack damage from her in the at level 1. So in the late game, you're not gonna feel it, but early game and also mid game, you're gonna feel that. Like she does less damage. She does a lot less damage in the earlier stages of the game, which is one of her strongest stages of the game. So they did grab her by the balls. Like they knew the part that would hurt her the most, which is exactly the balls, right? Next up is Jhin. Jhin, I want to make a troll video for Jhin where I play full lethality Jhin just for fun. I don't know. I feel like I should do it. What do you guys think? I just kind of want to do it, but Jhin is still meh. He's really not that strong. Like even with the right build, Jhin is just really not that strong, honestly. Anyone else? Miss Fortune, you still don't want to play Miss Fortune, even though they buffed her in the Dragon Lane. You just don't want to play that champion. Now support. And now listen to me, guys. Senna support, okay? Probably gonna be the most broken champ. Not the most broken champ. The most broken support in the game right now. I played a couple games of her, and the slow skills up in the late game. In the late game, your slow is gonna be like 35% for 1.5 seconds. All you have to do to catch out an enemy, like before this change, catching out an enemy could be hard because you had to do it with your second ability, right? Because you had no other CC. Now you can hit your first ability on either a ward or an ally and hit an enemy. And when you hit that enemy, you walk up and hit your second ability. They cannot dodge it because they're slowed by 35% for 1.5 seconds. So you can very easily catch out enemies now on Senna. And also during team fights, it is incredibly powerful to constantly use your first ability to constantly slow down the enemies. Very, very powerful. In lane as well. You can use your first ability to slow an enemy through the minion wave. And sure, in lane, they're not going to be slowed that much because in the early game, the slow is only 15% for like 0.75 seconds. But it's fast. It's enough for you to barely catch up to the enemy. Basic attack, do your bonus damage, and grab your soul. You're going to be able to grab souls more easily. You're going to be able to do more damage in lane. Everything. Like, it's just everything this buff to her right now. The slow adds so much to Senna right now. And she was already strong, and now she's the best support in the game. It's crazy. I'll make a video on her very, very soon. Karma is good. I mean, Karma is actually really, really good. With the addition of Serpent Fang, she did get nerfed indirectly, but not that many people are building Serpent Fang, and it doesn't really fit a lot of builds, so she's still fine. The barriers are very, very nice, the damage she has is very nice, and her ultimate is very, very nice too, so she just has a lot of good abilities. Nami, very strong too. She has super long range, bullies the hell out of the enemies in lane, and late game she's also strong because she has so much CC, her ultimate plus her first ability, right? So she really has it all. This champion has it all, and she also has a lot of damage herself. And she has a slow on her third ability. So like, what else do you want on this champion? She also has a heal. So she's good in lane, she's good in team fights, she's good early game, she's good late game, she's good everywhere. She does everything. Next up is Thresh. Thresh is a very high skill champion. By the way, another champion that I want to talk about is Zeri. She's not out yet, but from what I've heard, Zeri was gonna be broken as hell, but they hotfixed her. They changed something, or they nerfed her massively. So I feel like she's going to be sitting at like S tier. I can't guess whether it's going to be top of S tier or bottom S tier, but I'm going to guess like somewhere in the middle because the way her basic attack works is very, very interesting. And I just wonder how it plays out in Wild Rift. Like, I feel like she's going to be very, very good into this frontliners, and a lot of frontliners are being picked in the current meta. So we'll see. We'll see. We will see. Where was I? Yeah, Janna. Janna is like the underrated champion that no one knows about, how broken she is, especially low elo. Like, if you're a good Janna, you're gonna surprise everyone at lower elos, right? So just pick her and dominate the game. Make sure you watch the videos that I made because I'm really, really good at Janna actually. And like, I know how broken this champion is. What can I say, guys? This champion is disgusting. They actually nerfed her really, really hard recently, but it doesn't matter. She's still absolutely broken. That's how good she is. And it's funny because before the nerf, she was of course even more broken, but not many people knew about it. But the stats said otherwise, right? Because she had such a massive win rate. Same goes for Sona as well. No one knew she was broken until she got nerfed massively. She got one of the biggest nerfs in Wild Rift history recently. But she's still S+ tier. It's funny. It's funny how broken Sona is. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you want to reach Challenger, the easiest way, play Sona. Like, I'm not even kidding. Challenger, I mean, Grandmaster. I genuinely think, like, no joke, I genuinely think that if someone touched Wild Rift for the very first time and all he did was learn Sona properly, he could actually reach Grandmaster within a couple months. Because, of course, throughout the days, you'll learn the other champions as well. If he just spams Sona, because of how broken the champion is, he'll just reach Grandmaster because of how easy it is in the current meta right now. And because of how broken this champion is, how easy it is to win games. Yuumi got nerfed. She's not as plus tier anymore, but she's just sitting in the S tier. She's still okay. Her first ability does less damage now. She provides less buffing with her second ability. But Yuumi is Yuumi. She's still very, very strong. The healing is great. Her ult is great. And she's just still very, very strong. So not broken anymore. Just strong. Strong. Like really strong. Pyke is really, really strong too. But the thing about Pyke is he's not a frontline. He's like an assassin. So if your team is lacking an assassin, you can go Pyke, and Pyke is going to carry the game. He doesn't really fit into too many drafts, I would say, but if he does fit, he's going to be incredibly powerful. And if you're good at Pyke as well, Really, really strong. I really recommend you to watch my recent Pike videos because that video was actually sent by a one-trick Pike player who is Challenger rank. And that was the best Pike player I've ever seen in my life. And it was a really amazing video. Nautilus support is really, really good. Level 1, you can catch the enemy. And he's just strong throughout the whole game. He's very, very tanky. Just very nice. Like, the only problem is if you fall behind, he's going to be really bad. Because, like, he'll just get CC'd and killed very, very easily. But as long as you don't fall behind too much, he's going to be very, very powerful. Alistar is great. You know, Lulu is great. Soraka is great. Anyone interesting right here? Nasa's support, if you play it with Ashe, really strong. Yet again, because Frozen Heart got buffed, Nasa's support also got buffed because it's his core item. Frozen Heart has always been a core item for Nasus, and the item got buffed right now. So, you know, it's very, very strong to play him in the support role as well. Even without a Senna, honestly. Oh, I said Ashe, but I meant Senna, sorry. Even without a Senna, you can actually still play Nasa's support, like not even joking. I don't recommend it fully, but you can actually still play it. You can just do it and you poke the enemy with your third ability. Go for Imperial Mandate and Rylai's Scepter and Frozen Heart and become unkillable. It's crazy. Any support, only pick any support into Sona and you'll demolish the Sona. You have one objective in that game, just one-shot Sona every single time and you're gonna win the game. Or at least you'll kill the enemy Sona every time before a fight. It's really, really funny. Actually, I'm not sure why I've put brand support here. Brand support is actually definitely S tier. Bottom S tier, really, really powerful. I forgot to put him up, it's my bad. Brand support provides a lot of value in lane. His damage is really, really good. And late game is really good as well. Like, early game really good, and late game really good. The only thing is he doesn't provide utility, he doesn't provide tankiness, but he provides the damage. So if your team has a lot of tanks, for example, if you have a Mundo jungle and a Nasus top, you pick brand support and he's going to provide a lot of value because he's filling in the damage that your team needs. Your team already has tanks. So those are moments you want to pick brand support. It's really, really powerful. So this one was a bit of on the shorter one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about a shorter tier list as opposed to like a 1 hour, 1.5 hour tier list. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.